Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to be doing a full furniture makeover featuring a couple of different products, but the standout product is a primer that I want to showcase that definitely can be used on a piece of furniture like this. So I bought this little small buffet off of Facebook and it was a really good price and it is not solid wood. Normally that's all I work with, or wood veneers as well. This is some sort of an engineered wood composite, but it was such a good deal and it was a really cute piece, I couldn't pass up on it. However, that means that you've got to do things a little bit differently when you're working with materials like this. So I want to showcase today one of the primers that I use that you can buy pretty much at any big box store. You don't need a sprayer to use it, and it's a great primer. Let me show you. All right, so the product that I really want to focus on in today's video is this right here. This is the Rustoleum primer in a spray can, and this stuff really works. I typically use this for spot priming, but in this case, the piece really wasn't that large. I figured I've used this dozens of times and I'm gonna go ahead and spray the whole piece. Now, what's kind of different about this primer? Well, it is a filler / sandable primer. So it really does fill in any of, like, if you've got scratches that maybe you didn't sand out, or sometimes if you've got a lot of open wood grain. That wasn't the case here, but for the most part, I wanted to use this, and it's got really great adhesion. So I wanted it for a couple of things. Adhesion was number one. I wasn't concerned about bleed through since this isn't a solid wood, real wood piece. It is dark, and I was going to a light color, but I wasn't concerned about bleed through. I did this more for the filler and the sandable portion of it. So I had some heavy scratches, some light scratches. I had some dents and dings that you're gonna go ahead and see that I did fill with some wood filler. And you can use wood filler or wood putty on non-real wood surfaces. It's absolutely doable and it does work really well. So you're gonna see me use this, and then we're gonna go ahead and use Country Chic, and I'll show you those products that we're gonna feature as well. All right, so I've gone ahead, as you can see, and I'm gonna sand off my wood putty where I've filled dents and dings. This is my Surf Prep sander. It's a 3x4 electric ray sander, and it is so essential. I not only use it for detail sanding, but I love using it for my prep sanding, which you're seeing me do here. I'm getting all the excess wood putty off, and then I'm literally just scuff sanding the piece for better adhesion for my paint and primer. A discount code for you guys, which I'll put here on screen as well in the show notes for you. And then once I'm done with that, all I do is just take some compressed air and blow off the excess, getting it ready for my next step, which is to clean it with my cred cutter. But before we do that, I do have to go ahead and take the hardware off. You might wonder, why didn't you take the hardware off before you started scuff sanding? Well, I don't know. There was no good reason. I just didn't think about it. I'm actually not going to reuse this hardware. I'm going to switch this out for something I have in my hardware supply, but I just didn't think about it. That's all. So now I'm going to go ahead and take off all the hardware. All right, so the final step before we prime is to go ahead and clean this piece off. I'm going to go ahead and use my normal cleaner, which is Cred Cutter. You can use Cred Cutter, a TSP alternative, all are very good. Basically, you just spray it directly on the piece, it won't harm anything, and wipe it down. I'm using paper towels just to wipe off the excess, and then what I go ahead and do after I do this is I take a wet rag just with water, I wipe it back down over what I just did, and then I either let it air dry or I dry with a dry rag. The reason that you want to do that is you don't want any of that residue with the TSP or the Cred Cutter left behind. That could potentially have an issue or a reaction with your paint products. So I always make a good habit to go ahead, clean the piece off, and then wipe it down with a wet rag. All right, so we're all clean and ready to go. Here's our primer. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I just wanna point out those spots. That is a breakthrough in the finish, but not to worry because I'm going to be painting this whole piece and priming it. It's not gonna be a big deal. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with our primer. I do have fans on, so it really looks like there's a lot of overspray, but there is a lot of overspray as well with this product. I will warn you, work in an exterior, either garage, outside, and also I am wearing a respirator. Definitely have to wear a respirator. This product is not the best smelling, and I'm sure it's not that great for you to be breathing in the fumes. So just rest assured, I do have my respirator on, and I'm in a very well-ventilated area with several fans going. Wondering how much of this can I'm going to use on this small piece? I'm going to use the whole thing. I get asked that a lot. So that's why I would only recommend this for smaller pieces or spot priming, but it is a really great way to get your primer on, not have to worry about brush strokes. It comes out super smooth, it's sandable, fills those scratches, and I really enjoy working with it. All right, here you're gonna go ahead and see me use my sanding sponges. I'll link these in the show notes. These are my favorites. I get them off of Amazon. They're really inexpensive for a 12-pack. It's a super fine. They make them in different grades. This one is a super fine grit, and all I'm doing is just knocking down. Sometimes when you're working with aerosols, you can get a little bit of that grittiness. So I'm just knocking down any of that grittiness, making it super smooth for my paint product. Now the two Country Chic products that I've used, and I've done other videos using Country Chic, but I'm just gonna go ahead and share with them so you guys know. This is the Color Stage Advice. That's what we use for today's project. This is an all-in-one paint. It does have a primer and a top coat in it. So you think, why are you priming? Well, exactly why the reasons I told you earlier. I really want to make sure, since this is not a solid wood piece, that I have good adhesion, and this primer, is got a filler in it, which really helps to kind of fill in those scratches without me having to sand it. I didn't want to sand this piece since it's not real wood and break through the finish and have it be that engineered wood look, which if you've done any furniture, you know it's not pretty. So I went ahead with that. We're gonna use this here, and then this is brand new to me. I haven't used this before. I have used their clear coat. This is their tough coat. I will put in the show notes what are the differences between their two clear coats so that you guys know. No need to go into detail here. So let's go ahead and get started with this makeover. All right, so our piece has been primed, sanded, and wiped down, ready for paint. So I'm gonna go ahead and be using my normal, which is my Ehrlich's 5500 spray station. It's one of my favorites. And this paint, I have painted Country Chic many times, and this paint just sprays so beautifully. So because we have a primed piece, it has primer in the paint, and it's got a built-in top coat already, I just feel like I'm going to have good success with this project. My only not successful thing is these doors just don't want to stay closed. Now, I am going to be painting the back of the doors, but I'm not going to paint the interior of the cabinet. A lot of times that just depends on if it's a client piece or a piece I'm doing for sale. I get asked that all the time. What makes me determine whether I'm painting the whole thing, the interior? I always paint the back sides of the doors for a very finished look, but I don't always paint the cabinet inside because if you're just using it for storage, a lot of the times it doesn't really need to be painted. In this case, they're in fabulous condition, no need to go ahead and go through the extra steps of painting them, and most likely they're just going to be used for storage. So I'm not going to be painting the inside of the cabinet, and I will show you the final reveal at the very end of the video like I always do. And just so you guys can see, I'm going to show you how I go ahead and spray the interior. I always get the frame itself. People ask me all the time, don't you worry about painting over hinges? No, I don't. If I prep them right, I don't worry about it. I've sprayed hundreds of pieces where I've sprayed the hinges. Sometimes taking doors off and putting them back on is more problematic than it is worrying about painting the hinges. I've never really had any issues when I prep them correctly of the paint chipping off or it not adhering or having any stickiness. As you can see, I put some tape down and I'm using my normal cardboard trick. All right, now we're just gonna go ahead and do the same thing with the drawers. And I'm gonna use my cardboard trick, but in a minute, you're gonna see me use another tool that sometimes I use when I need a little bit more of a finer edge, and that is my painter's edge. These work really, really well, just like with the cardboard. But I do get questions like, don't you get a lot of overspray? No, it's very, very minimal, if any at all. If I get some on there, all I do is take my crud cutter, a little tiny bit of quadruple zero steel wool, and a paper towel, and I clean it off. But it's very, very minimal that I ever get overspray on like the drawer insides or the sides of the drawer. It's just a trick that works for me really great. And here we are. That is 2 coats, and it is done. So I am ready for top coat. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to go ahead and use Country Chic Tough Coat. First time I'm using it today, and I'm going to add it directly to my paint can. I have a little tiny bit of paint left in there, and I'm just going to go ahead and add right to my paint can. It's a little trick that helps it go on really beautifully. So you do not have to top coat Country Chic paint, but I'm choosing to because I did a fully painted surface and I want to make sure I add extra durability and longevity to my piece. Plus, I really wanted to try out the Country Chic Tough Coat over their paint. So that is why I'm doing it, but it is optional. That is it. We are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Just goes to show you, you don't have to spend a lot of money on products. Products like this are just gonna work for you perfectly fine. I've used this many times before. They do stand the test of time, and they're very durable and very practical. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you are not subscribed, make sure you go hit that subscription button as well as the post notification bell so you can get all of my latest videos. It allows you to be a part of my YouTube community and help support my channel and keep me going. So I so appreciate it. So I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.